welcome to episode 8 of the Cozy Cottage Crochet Podcast. My name is Hannah and I am coming to you as always from St. Petersburg, Florida, which is in the United States. You can find me on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook all as the Cozy Cottage Crochet, and on Ravelry it is just the Cozy Cottage. I do want to mention before we get started that if you have any questions, comments, inquiries about the podcast specifically, the absolute best way to get a hold of me is by email. I have an email specifically set up for this podcast group so that I don't miss anything. I do my best to keep up with all the social media, but especially with the way Instagram has been lately, I seem to be missing some notifications. So please make sure you do email me if you have anything about the podcast specifically so I can get back to you. The email address is thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com, and I'll put it down below as well. So welcome, it's episode 8. That means it has been 4 months since I started podcasting. That's crazy. I can't believe it's been that long already. We've got almost 600 subscribers as of this morning, which is also crazy to me. So welcome if you're a new viewer. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. We've got lots to cover today. The first segment, as usual, is what am I wearing? Now, if you saw the last episode, you may recognize this as the possibly finished object. I wasn't sure if I was going to add shells on here and on the sleeve edges. I decided not to. So this is the finished striped sweater pattern from, well, I made it for the Summer of Romance Crochet Along, which was hosted by Claudia of Crochet Luna and Elizabeth of Crochet Cakes. If you haven't finished your projects yet, I believe you still have until August 4th, 3rd. It's the beginning of August. So you still got like a week, 2 weeks. If you want to get your projects in, I know they've got some great prizes and there's awesome finished objects. So let me stand up so you can see it. This is the finished sweater. I'll give you a close-up of the pattern. It has been washed and blocked. I am wearing it. I really actually like it. I've got some gray pants on, so it matches perfectly, although it is a little bit hot. It is almost August in Florida, which means it's regularly in the 90s, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. I think yesterday it was like 95 or more. So I live in St. Petersburg, which always gets a breeze, but still, this is a pretty thick sweater. So I don't think I'm going to be wearing this again until maybe October, November, when it cools off a little bit. It's actually a little too warm to wear inside, and it's air conditioned in my house, so it's just a little thick because it's made out of worsted weight yarn, but I really do like it. I love the pattern. I think it looks awesome. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and it worked up very quickly. I finished this in the span of 2 weeks. So, and when I washed it, in the last episode I had mentioned that I seamed up the sides with the tails because there were tails every stripe. There were tails. So I just used those to seam it up, and I washed it, dried it, didn't seem to have any problems with unraveling or coming out. So if you're looking for a way to avoid sewing in all your ends and then seaming it up after that, then that is the way to go. Okay, so I have some exciting news. The giveaway winner is going to be announced for this top. Some of you will remember this is my creme de la creme top that turned out to be way too big for me. It is an extra large size and it was literally falling off of me. And plus, even though I really like the pattern, I don't really think it's my color palette. So I didn't want to just put this in a thrift store or something like that to have somebody buy it for only a couple dollars. So what I did was I put a thread in Ravelry and had anyone who was interested in having this sweater comment. And there were 6 entries in the Ravelry thread. I used a random number generator and it picked Joni Parker, who is Joni on Ravelry. She also lives in Lakeland, which is only about an hour away from me, where I live in St. Pete, so this is not going to have to travel very far. So this top, I'll give you guys a close-up of the pattern. That's the main body of the sweater, and then down here, which is my favorite part, it's got this cool star kind of design, but still way too big for me. So Joni, congratulations, you are the winner. If you could please send me an email to thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com with your address, then I will try to get that out in the mail to you right away. So thank you everyone who entered. I'm sorry there's not 7 of these, so I can give everyone one, but I'm happy that it's going to go to someone who will appreciate all of the time that it took to make. That's the giveaway. So let's move on to finished objects. I only have one, but if you follow me on Instagram, you may know what this finished object is and why I am jumping for joy that it is finally done. It is my king-sized crochet blanket. It's been washed, it's blocked. I actually had it on the bed. I'll insert a picture here of it all on the bed and finished. This is it all folded up. It's huge. I can barely get it in the frame. That's how big it is. There are 6 of these blue stripes, and then they're separated by 2 rows of white. So 6. Every blue stripe has 30 rows, and then there's 2 rows of white. And this is actually the wrong side. You can see right here, the wrong side of the single crochets. So what it looks like when it's on the bed right side up, it looks like this. So it's a little neater. I did the calculations, I did the math on this blanket. This blanket, I'm sorry, oh, I have to manhandle it. It's too big. This blanket took, to my best guess, it took about 45 balls of yarn, which is insane. That's so much yarn. Now, I did work on this over the span of a year and a half, maybe. I don't want to say it's 2 years, but it may somewhere in between a year and a half and 2 years. So I did not buy 45 balls of yarn all at once. That would have been a huge cost. This is Vanna's Choice yarn in the colors navy and white, and I was not worried about the dye lots or anything like that because it's commercially produced and it's available at Joann's, at Michael's, at pretty much any big box craft store. So I would go in to Joann's when they had those 20% off your entire purchase coupons, and then I would also have my 40% off one item and 50% off one item. I would just hoard all of my coupons and then go in and buy 6 or 7 balls at one time over the span of months and months and months. So I don't think I've paid full price for a single ball of this yarn. Not even the last stripe, which I ran out of yarn right after the last podcast. So I had to go buy about 5 or 6 more balls to finish it. And conveniently, I had a 20% off coupon. So it sounds like it costs more than it did because I did have all of those coupons. And Joann's will actually let you use 1 coupon per item. So let's say I bought 6 balls of yarn, I could use 6 coupons. They'll only let you use 1 total transaction coupon. So if you have a 20% off, you can only use 1 of those. But you can combine it with other coupons, like a 50% off, a 60% off, a 40% off, and you can use them all because they all have different codes. So the ones that they mail to your house, the ones that they email you, and the ones that are in the app all have a different barcode on them, so you can use multiple coupons. So I highly recommend you go to Joann's if you're working on a blanket. Another reason I really like Vanna's Choice yarn for blankets, I have a smaller, kind of a granny blanket that I made out of it that's on our couch, is because it holds up really well. It's 100% acrylic, The one on our couch has been washed and dried probably 50 times. And it's got some fuzz on it from the dryer, but the stitches, the yarn itself is completely fine, and it just gets softer every time you wash it. So this was pretty stiff when I finished it. It was not nearly so easily rolled up into a ball, but as soon as it was washed and dried, it's super soft and drapey now, and I'm really happy with it. I don't know what I was thinking starting a king-size blanket. That's crazy. I don't recommend that you do it unless you are the most patient person in the world, because this thing has been haunting me for a year and a half. As close as I can get calculation-wise, I think that this blanket has approximately 59,000 stitches in it. So, it's done. I officially was able to enter it into the Festival of Finishing Craft Along, hosted by Faye of the lovely Crochet Circle podcast. I was thinking at the end I might not get it done in time, but it's done. And I was able to enter it. I put a photo in, and all the yardage, like, I want to say I added like 2,500 yards, because that's what I've done in the last couple of months since the Keep Calm and Carry Yarn Cowl started, which is the crocheters versus knitters. They're counting up yardage. Since that started, I want to say I've done about 2,500 yards of yarn in this blanket. So I went in and added a huge amount to the crocheters total just for this blanket. This is the Granny Stripe pattern from Pearl Soho online. It is a free pattern. Now, of course, they want you to buy their yarn to do the pattern in. And their blanket is not a king-size blanket, but because I was using worsted yarn and I chained 303, maybe? It's got 300 stitches across. It's been so long ago, I don't remember. It's a king-sized blanket. Now, I have it on a queen-size bed in our guest bedroom. I'm going to put this down. It's too hot to hold. I have it on a queen-size bed in our guest bedroom, so it fits perfectly lengthwise and has about a whole stripe worth of drape on the bottom, and then it has about, I don't know, maybe a foot or a foot and a half of drape on each side, so that when people are underneath it, they can have plenty of blanket. It's not going to shrink or one person be fighting over it. So that's my finished object. It's done. I'm so excited. I don't know what to do with myself. It's crazy. So, finished object, blanket. So works in progress. I went a little bit crazy. I'm not gonna lie. And it's because I was so excited about finishing that blanket that I basically lost my mind and started a bunch of new projects. So I finished that blanket on Saturday or Sunday last week, and 5 days later I have 5 new projects. So that I have 6 works in progress total. So let me just jump right into those and show you what I'm talking about. This one I talked about last time, and I showed it a little bit on the podcast. It's the Peppermint Pretty Tank Top. This is in Simply Crochet issue 47. The pattern is by Simone Francis. I'll show you a better picture. I really, really like it, and I've been meaning to start this project for quite a while, but I kept having to rip out this foundation chain because it just wasn't working. So eventually I used a foundation single crochet stitch, and that made it work a lot better. But I think I just had like a little strip 2 weeks ago in the last episode. Now I have a front and a back halfway done. There's one piece. I used the variegated yarn. This is Premier Yarns in Cotton Fair. It's my leftover yarn from the Hotel of Bees shawl. I do not remember what this colorway is called, the variegated. It had some crazy name, and I have lost the ball band. So we've got this, and then I So I ran out of the variegated and now I started adding blue on top of it. This is how many repeats the pattern calls for before you start decreasing for the sleeve, the armholes. I do not think it is long enough for me. In fact, I'm pretty positive if I start decreasing right here, it's going to be too short. It's going to be a crop top because I have a rather long torso. So this is the front piece or the back piece. I don't know. They're the same so far. And this is the other piece. On this one, I have added another 3 repeats, which if the armholes were to start like right here, would make it long enough for me. I think it still might be a tiny bit short, but I figure I can always go back because I used a foundation single crochet. I've got these 2 little threads all along the bottom, right there. I don't know how well you can see that, but I can go ahead and add like a border or a bottom band of single crochet or something like that to make it a little bit longer if I need to. So I think this is going to be the back because it's already to the length that I want it, and I'm going to start the decreases for the armholes. And then this one, I've got 3 more blue pattern repeats to do, and then I can start decreasing for the armholes on the front. We'll see. I have this much blue yarn left, which it's not going to be enough for the whole tank top, but I do have some white left. So I'm just going to go until I run out of blue, and then the top of the tank top is going to be white. Very, very excited about this. I'm hoping to have some really good progress on this next time, although I don't know because now I've started so many other projects that it is insane. So work in progress number 1, that's the Peppermint Pretty Tank Top by Simone Francis. Work in progress number 2, I didn't even mean to start, but I saw something and I couldn't help it. So I have this magazine, The Love of Crochet, Summer 2017, and I picked it up only for one reason. Now, I normally do not buy an entire magazine for one pattern. However, there is a Tunisian striped shawl in this magazine on page 21. It is called the Maritime Stripes Shawl. It's made with lace weight yarn, and I have been wanting to learn Tunisian crochet, and I wanted to start with something that just has long rows as opposed to starting with the shell pattern from the Crochet Shawl project. So I want to make a shawl prior to making the complicated shawl from the Crochet Project's shawl book 3. So I bought this specifically for this pattern. Now I haven't started this pattern yet because I still don't know how to do Tunisian crochet. I have to learn. But randomly I was flipping through it and I saw a pattern for this pillow. This is the Coral Cabana pillow. It's on page 41 by Lynn. I'm sorry, I do not know how to say her last name. Wasilvik. I'll put it down below. I don't know how to say that. I apologize. Maybe someone who knows or has used her patterns before can help me. So that's on page 41 is the photo, and this is a close-up of the actual stitch pattern. It's a pillow, and I saw it and I was like, oh, that's perfect. Not for a pillow, for a top. So the stitch pattern itself, and I don't want to show you because it's a paid pattern, so I'll kind of do this back here. There's a chart that just has the stitch pattern, and because I have been working diligently on my Seashore Bliss cardigan by Drops Design, which pretty much only uses charts, I feel like I can handle charts better now. So what I decided to do is make a top out of this pillow by making 2 pieces and then I'll do some neckline shaping or something like that. And I dropped the ball band. Sorry about that. So what I have is some Patton's metallic yarn, which you get 85 grams, 252 yards, and it is 63% nylon, 28% acrylic, and 9% wool. And I've never worked with this yarn before. However, I was at Michael's a couple of months ago, and I don't even remember what I was there for. I needed something. And I saw 5 balls of this yarn on clearance for $2.50 a ball. And then a couple of them were missing ball bands, so they gave me a discount on those. And I had a 40% off coupon. Now, Michael's is not as good with coupons as Joann's. You can only use one, usually. Their coupons all have the same code. But I spent, like, including tax, $11 or $12 on 5 balls of this yarn, which is normally $6 per ball. So this is, it's so shiny. Look at this. You can actually, sometimes it's hard to see metallic yarn, like, that has shimmer in it. The light is just bouncing straight off of it. It's crazy. And so I immediately grabbed it. I had no idea what I was going to make with it, but for $12, that is a good deal. And to get so much yarn. So what I have done is I've got 2 pieces started. I was trying to do it concurrently, and then I ended up leaving one of these at home, so one of them is bigger than the other. I've got a stripe. So this is going to be either the front or the back. And I'll give you a close-up of the pattern. Once it's blocked, this is my little pie stitch marker. My whipped cream pie. I just think that is so cool. I couldn't help myself. As soon as I saw that pillow, I was like, I have to make a top out of this. So that's one piece. And then this one has had more love. This one is 5 repeats tall. Almost 5. I'm still missing some rows up here. The purple, oh, you guys, look at how beautiful that purple is. And it's so shiny. I can't wait. I can't wait. It is, this is not a yarn I would make a shawl out of, I don't think, because it's slightly scratchy because of the 9% wool. But I think as a top over, I mean, obviously you're going to have to wear a tank top under it unless you're okay with not and you just want everything showing. But I personally would wear a tank top under it, so I think it will be fine. It's not going to be itchy. So if you can get a hold of some of this yarn, I know that it depends on where you are, but I did see some more of this. It wasn't the same color, but I saw some more at Joann's recently on clearance for $2.97 a ball, maybe. So definitely worth it if you can get a hold of it. So I'm kind of winging the pattern. I'm just going to make 2 and then seam them up and see what I'm going to do about a neckline. When I get to here, I may just stop with the pattern and do straps or maybe double crochets or something like that to shape it out a little bit for the neckline. So that's work in progress number 2. But wait, there's more. I also, without a pattern, started a cowl with kind of bulky yarn. I don't know why I did that because it's super hot outside. But I have 2 skeins of Bernat Softy Chunky in my yarn stash. This is the colorway Rogue, and this is a bulky yarn. It's a number 5. It is bulky. It's not super bulky. I think it could pass for a really thick worsted yarn, possibly. Like, you don't need a 10mm hook to work up this yarn. You get 180 yards for 100 grams. It is 100% acrylic. And this is what the yarn looks like. It is a robe color, like the color of blush. You totally put this on your face. Then you won't have to do makeup. So this is the color. It's kind of a, I mean, I feel like you can see the twist on this yarn more than a normal yarn. I don't know if that makes sense, but you can kind of see the twist very clearly. And I am using the cross hatch stitch, which I came across last week, to make what is going to be a cowl. I'm only 2 rows in because I had to rip it out. I wasn't happy with the length. So I'm going to make it and then seam it up. I think this is a good length for a cowl. I don't know how tall I'm going to make it yet, but I really like the stitch pattern. So basically what you have is you have double crochets going this way. Oh, it's upside down. You have double crochets going this way, and then on the next row you have double crochets going this way. So it's kind of like a zigzag, a unique take on a ripple, and I think you can make it as thick or as thin as you want, but once it's blocked out, it's going to look really cool and be super soft and chunky for the winter. So I might write up a pattern for this. I haven't decided. It depends on how much I love the finished project. Normally what happens is I make things without a pattern, which I do all the time. And then I'm like, oh, I should totally write that up into a pattern, and then I never do. Because I get distracted and I go on to more fun things like making other stuff with yarn. So I haven't gotten very far on this, but we'll see. It's a pretty simple stitch once you get the hang of it, so I don't think it would be any great task to actually write up a pattern and post it on Ravelry, but we'll see. It may be a little unseasonal, as it's still winter time, to post a pattern for a cowl. We'll see. That's work in progress number 3. Works in progress number 4A and 4B are the Fabio Shawl, which I have been dying to start. So I got this book from Faye of the Crochet Circle podcast. This is her book, Take 2. It's a crochet pattern collection that she did with Lynn. If you watched the Crochet Circle podcast back at the very beginning, Faye and Lynn did the podcast together, and they put out this book together. And now it's just Faye, which is not a minus. Faye is fantastic, and I love you. So you still need to go check out her podcast, even though it's just Faye, no longer Faye and Lynn. But this is the Fabio Shawl. I've been dying to cast. I almost said cast this on. We really have got to come up with something for crocheters, like cast this on. Elizabeth from the Crochet Cakes podcast she says, what am I hooked on? Which I think is super fabulous, but I don't want to steal that. So if you have a comment, what can I say other than started a project? I've been dying to start this for quite some time, but I would not start it until I finished that king size blanket. Because I knew as soon as I started this, it's the only thing I would want to work on. So I have actually started 2 of them. Because she also sent me the Fabio Colosseum pattern, which is this 2-skein version of Colosseum. I just realized I've been calling this the wrong name the whole time. I've been calling it Fabio. It's Colosseum. The bigger one is Fabio Colosseum. For weeks, I've been calling it the wrong name. No one has corrected me. Guys. Alright, well, I apologize. It's called the Colosseum pattern. This one uses 1 skein, and you work it from the top down. So you start with the longest chain, and you go in to a point. The Fabio Colosseum pattern, you start from the bottom, so at the smallest point, it's 2-skein pattern, and you work your way up. I have started 1 of each. So the Colosseum pattern, I have started using, I had 1 more ball, which is more of a pancake now, of mandala yarn, which is Lion Brand's sport weight acrylic. What am I trying to say? It's got a long color changes, so it's not really variegated. Ombre. It's all like an ombre kind of a yarn. This is colorway Pegasus. You do get 150 grams and 590 yards. So I have been hoarding this ball for quite some time because I only managed to get 2 a few months ago. And I knew it would be perfect. Now, the Colosseum pattern does not call for a number 3 weight yarn. It calls for 4-ply yarn and a 3mm hook. But I really wanted to make a bigger one. So I'm using the number 3 weight yarn, Pegasus, and a 4.5mm hook. So it's going to be huge. And this is what I've got so far. So we've got, I can't even hold it all in one point. We've got, this was where it started. Then it goes this way. All the way over to the other point. My arms can only stretch this wide, and I've got still a tail and a tail. So I started in the middle of the ball, so it started with like a really pale peachy color, which faded into a brighter pink, and then we've got like a light purple mauve maybe, and then we've got regular purple, a dark dusky purple, and it's now just starting to turn into the blue. So I am about halfway through. I think the pattern calls for like 54 rows, and I'm on row 25 or something like that, but it's going a lot. It's going faster and faster because the rows are getting smaller and smaller. So I think it's going to be awesome. I really like the way the colors are changing. And once it's blocked, of course, this is going to be much more stretched out. It starts with the linen stitch, which I've actually never used before on a scarf, and I think it's really cool. It creates such a dense fabric, but it's kind of awesome. So we'll see how much of this yarn I use. I'm going to say I'm probably going to use most of it, if not all of it, but the rows are getting shorter and shorter, so we'll see. I don't want to say too much because it is a paid-for pattern, but you definitely should try this pattern. It's fantastic. And it's got pictures, so if you get confused, which I did at one point, you can easily figure it out. So I'm hoping that this will be done next time I podcast. The only thing I'm not a super fan of right now is my starting chain is like poofy in some points. I don't really know, like, what is that? I don't know what happened there. This kind of bothers me, but maybe it'll look a little different when it's blocked and washed. It's not, for half a ball of yarn, I probably used 300 yards already. It's not big. It's not a big shawl. It's very shallow. And this yarn I already know washes up gorgeously. So it's going to be super soft when it's done. So update on this next time. This is my little donut progress keeper. I saw this charm. There's this one. There was one for an ice cream scoop, and then there was one for the little pie with whipped cream on top. They were all 3 together at Joann's last time I was there, and I just could not say no to them. Also, I really did need more stitch markers because I started all the projects. But now I have a donut. So this is Colosseum. See, I almost called it Doppio again. This is the Colosseum, version 1. Version 2, Doppio Colosseum, I have barely started. I'm using the Barocco Modern Cotton DK, which I bought specifically to make this shawl. So we've got colorway Weatherill and colorway Rosecliff. And they came in Hank. This is Weatherill. It's like a beautiful blue. And Rosecliff, as you can imagine, is pink. So I'm going to make this in stripes. These came in hanks. I got them in Austin, Texas last time I was there for work. I got them at the yarn store, and I just didn't want them to cake it up because I had to fly home, and I just figured it would be easier to keep the hanks neat if they weren't caked up. I'd have to worry about them less. But then I don't have a ball winder, which I should have thought about, so I had to wind these by hand. So the amount that I have done on this shawl, it looks like I haven't crocheted much because I haven't, but this did take me like an hour to wind up both of these because there is 335 yards in each hank, in each ball. So I just put on a TV show and I just wound and wound and wound and wound into a ball. So this is what I have so far. It's about 5 rows. So it starts right here with the tiniest little pink row, and then you add stitches on each side and keep going. So it's going to be slightly asymmetrical, like one side's going to have more of a swoop because you add more stitches on one side than the other. But once I am done with, see if I can find this is her picture. So right here, I'm going to do the bottom part in pink, and then after the first lace panel, blue, pink, blue, pink. So it's going to start with pink and end with pink. Look at all these awesome photos she includes. It's great. So I'm very excited about this. This one will get more love once the big one is done. I guarantee you. So hopefully I'll have some good progress on this one next time as well. But wait, there's still more. There's one more work in progress. I know, I went a little crazy because the king size blanket was done, and I have been working on it for so long, and it's so boring. 300 granny stitches per row that I immediately started 5 projects. So I've shown you 4 of them, plus that tank top. And then there's one more that I actually started yesterday. This is also in the same Love of Crochet magazine, and it is their Sandy Shore shawl, which is right on the front. So let me show you a better picture of it. Right here. Well, not quite right here. I'm not to it yet. I don't really have a super good picture of it, actually. Here's one. They don't have a picture of it all spread out. That's what I was trying to show. They do have a kind of a close-up of the lace pattern. So it's kind of a shell pattern. This uses number 2 sport weight yarn, which I have some left over. I have some Himalaya Perlina yarn, which is a yarn you can get at Tuesday Morning. It's like 50-50 cotton acrylic. I paid $4 a ball, but you get 317 yards per 100 grams. And I have made a sweater out of this yarn, pink and gray, and this is the same yarn I was using for my Seashore Bliss cardigan by Drops Design. Just almost done. I'm not going to show it to you because I'm so excited about it. Next time it will be done. So the Seashore Bliss cardigan actually did not take nearly as much yarn as I thought it would. I didn't do long sleeves and etc. So I had I've got 4 of these pink balls left. I do tend to overbuy on my yarn, which is not a problem because now I have enough yarn to make this Sandy Shore shawl, which is a huge, slightly asymmetrical shawl. And they are calling for probably 1,200 to 1,500 yards of yarn, which I think I have just enough to use. So I just started this yesterday. This also starts at the widest point and goes in. I've done 2 rows plus the chain row. So this is the stitch pattern. It's kind of blowing it out a little bit. There, that's better. So you've got these shells, and then you've got a row up top, like an in-between separator row, and then you start the shell pattern again. This is how wide, I can't even get it in the screen. This is how wide the first row is. It's bigger than my wingspan. This is my wingspan, and I've still got some on this end and a bunch on this end. So it is going to get shorter every row. It does decrease like half a shell on one side and a full shell on the other side. So it's going to start getting smaller, but this one row did take me quite a while. And I love the color, of course, because I've made several things out of it. And it's going to be just a huge, comfy pink, and I love pink, shawl. Oh, the pattern I forgot to mention. It's called the Sandy Shores shawl, but the pattern is by Melissa Leapman, who I have not heard of before, but I really, really like this. So hopefully that will get some love coming up as well, and then I'm going to try and start thinking about Tunisian crochet so that I can make this one right here, the stripy shawl. I'm probably going to use Loops and Threads wool-like yarn, which is a lace weight acrylic, 100% acrylic yarn. I've made 2 shawls out of that previously, one for my mother and a blue one for me, which I've shown before on the podcast, and I really, really like how it works up, and also it's very inexpensive. You can get it at Michael's. Normally it's like $4 for one. There's about 700 yards per ball, and of course if you have a coupon, it'll be like $2. So I think I'm going to use that yarn for the Tunisian shawl, which I can now start because I bought something for myself as a reward for finishing the king size blanket. Now, normally what I would do is celebrate with something food related, but I'm trying to be a little more cognizant of that, so I put a ban on buying food related celebratory items for myself recently. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just get a fancy skein of yarn. That's what I'll get, and I'll make something beautiful. But I did not. I can get yarn anytime. I've been dying to learn how to do Tunisian crochet, but I have no Tunisian crochet hooks. So what I bought is something that I've been eyeing for a while now. It's been on my wish list. I bought a set of Tunisian crochet hooks. These are the Knitter's Pride Dreams set. You get 8 Tunisian crochet hooks in this set. You get a 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, and 8 millimeter hooks. You also get 4 interchangeable cords, a 24-inch cord, a 2 32-inch cords, and a 40-inch cord. And it comes in this fancy plastic package. I got these on Amazon for about $40. So if you were to buy these off of a yarn website, I did a lot of research before I bought them. Amazon had the cheapest price by several dollars, and of course, if you're a Prime member, you get free shipping. Let me just show you a couple of them. I haven't used them yet. I'll show you the 8 millimeter one because it's the biggest. They're wood, so it's like this cool stained wood. I've had some people tell me that they didn't like these because they weren't pointy enough, but like, that seems pretty pointy to me. I don't know. Like, maybe I won't like it as much, but compared to a regular crochet hook, like, that is pretty sharp. That could hurt someone. It tapers down into this metal point at the end, and that is where you attach the cable. Now, if you had a set of 2 8 millimeter hooks or something like that, you could potentially have the cable attached, so they're completely interchangeable, but you could have an 8 millimeter on either side or any size, because these hooks will go into these cord will go into any of the hooks. So I haven't actually messed with this a lot yet, but basically what you do is you screw it in, and then there's like a little tightening mechanism that they give you. what you do is you pick the size cord you need, and then if you don't want to have another hook on the other side, or if you don't have two of the same one, you can put a stopper on the other end so none of your stitches fall off. So you go all the way through, keep all your stitches on the cord, and then you can go all the way back through with your hook. This is the cord. It doesn't seem like it's going to kink, although it's kind of in a circle because it's been all tied up like this, but that's the shortest cord. These are the two that are 32 inches. There's two orange ones, and then there's one red one that's a 40-inch. My only concern with these hooks is, this is the 6mm one, the size of the hook is not engraved. So you see how it's just kind of painted on right here? I think that's going to rub right off within a project or two. I think it's going to rub off. So I may have to like write down or something the hook sizes and the colors, because all of the hooks are color coded. We've got this 8mm, which is blue. There's a 6.5, which is purple. This one is pink, I want to say. The 6mm is a pinkish color. The 5.5 is green. The 5 is red. And all of these hooks are like the same height exactly, so you're not going to have any problems. So the 8mm is exactly the same length as the 4.5mm. This one's kind of like a, I guess it's black, the 4.5. And then we've got the two tiny ones, which this one's 4mm. I think that's purple. And then the 3.5 is like a bluish green, an aqua maybe. So these Tunisian hooks do not have a thumb grip, so some people find them harder to work with because you don't have anywhere to put your thumb, because of you need the stitches to not have to go over the giant bump on the thumb grip. So we'll see how well these hold up. They're a little, they seem pretty sturdy. Even this skinny one seems sturdy. It's pretty sturdy. I'm pretty sure I could break this if I tried, but I'm not going to try. So I think it was a really good deal for $40. It comes with instructions. These are the little stoppers that it comes with so that your stitches don't fall off. And I am really happy with this. I'm really excited to learn how to do Tunisian crochet. I'm going to start with something really simple like a square, and then once I have the hang of it, I'm going to start that stripy shawl. This is the case it comes in, and all the hooks have their own individual pocket. So I think it's really convenient. So that was my acquisition. So that's it. I know that was a lot. So many new projects, you guys. So many new projects. So I feel like it's been so long since I've talked to you. It's only been 2 weeks. And I'm sure I'm going to feel that way next time when it's only been 2 weeks. But I think that's enough rambling from me. Joni Parker, please do email me so that I can get this creme de la creme top off in the mail to you, to its new home. Again, if you have any questions or inquiries, or you want to talk about giveaways or anything like that as far as the podcast is concerned, please email me at thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com, and come friend me on Ravelry. I would love to connect with you. I'd love to see what people are making, because the best thing about this yarny life is getting to share it with all of you. So thanks for watching. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye!